Hello again, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Money Cure. I'm your host, Sean Robert Grant. Very happy and excited. As always, I know I say that, but I'm so grateful, so appreciative, so thankful, and so happy to be with you here again today on this episode of the Money Cure. And so, the Money Cure is it's a really neat concept. I don't think I've ever really talked about it, but I'll just touch on it. I may have talked about it a lot, but what's cool is this has evolved with my evolution. And so the Money Cure is basically helping individuals across the globe see money as it truly is, not what they've been taught to think it to be, and not what they may have, been ill-informed beforehand. And so the reason why I feel like the Money Cure is so very important is because unless we understand money from the standpoint of true wealth and true prosperity, and what that means is basically, the topic of our show today, which is basically making the God in me or the God in you your currency. What that comes down to is just understanding that something I really love and have resonated with is my wealth is not my possessions. My wealth is my consciousness. So I would say this a number of times over and over. My wealth is my consciousness. My wealth is my consciousness. My wealth and my prosperity is my consciousness. Because what then happens is that it can't be taken away from you. It can never be taken away from you, no matter how many dollars or pounds or euros or pesos you lose. I just named all the countries I've been to recently. No matter, how much you lose, you can still be wealthy. You can still be prosperous. You can still be abundant, because the true wealth and the true prosperity is within. And that is what it comes down to in making the God in me, the God in you, the God in us, our currency. And so let's dive deeper into this as to how it affects your life in the grand scheme of things and how it affects your life in the day-to-day. So from a day-to-day standpoint, I can tell you, I'm coming from a place where there was a time where I spent almost 90% of the day wondering how I was going to make money, where the money was going to come from, what I could do to make it. And my focus was squarely on making money. And it was the most miserable time of my life from that standpoint. What I used to do was I would attempt to make everybody, I would attempt to just focus on the other areas of my life, and I basically stuck my head in the sand when it came down to my finances. Okay? And so it was so hard because I was putting myself into a position, to where I wasn't really connected to the source, which is, once again, the God in me, the God in you, the God in us. And so in doing so, what happens is when you make something that is conditional, when you make something that is ill-eternal or non-eternal, your source, that thing is going to dissolve and dissipate eventually. And we all are guilty of this because we put ourselves in positions where we make jobs, we make spouses, we make parents, we make, certain entities our source, and it winds up blowing up in our face when that source falls apart. I tell you a very, very real example of this is for my 32nd birthday, I was going to Canada with my family, with my wife and her parents, and we had the greatest time ever. And I had just started working at a place that I really, really enjoyed. Well, for whatever reason, the payroll checks bounced. So the money was in a different account or something like that, but the payroll checks bounced back. And all the bills and everything else that I had paid or thought I had paid had came back void. So you can imagine my surprise to be in a position to realize, wait a minute, I thought I paid all this stuff. So, and what actually happened was all that stuff came back. There was no money, no money within my check. And I'm just sitting there thinking to myself, holy shit, what am I going to do? So I stopped for a minute. I prayed. I connected. I was like, you know what? God is my source. God is my everything. Well, I didn't really say that because I didn't know at the time. I don't want to sit here and lie to you. All I did, I prayed. I said, you know, God, please help me. I don't know what I'm going to do right now, but I know there's a way that you can help me out. And this is before I realized that God was my source. But once I did that initially, I got the hunch to call the bank. I called the bank and I explained to them everything that happened. And they basically gave me a credit for everything. And got everything straightened out with work, got my check straightened out with work, received that, everything was fine. But what this taught me was I had put so much faith within this company, and we all do it. You know, we all do it. We never think, because I didn't even think in this situation that payroll would ever be an issue. And payroll became an issue, and it was the craziest thing. It was the craziest experience you could ever think of, because I even look at it today. We put so much faith in man or woman, in a human being, to pay us at a certain time. Why can't we put that faith in the divine, in the God in us, the God in me, and the God in you? Like, what would our lives look like if we put that type of faith? Think about how you almost are automatic when it comes to your biweekly check getting ready to arrive. Just imagine if you took that faith and placed it in the God in me or the God in you. You know what I mean? The God in us. Your life would transform, and it would transform from the inside first, because in the event that anything unfolded that seemed catastrophic at the beginning, you'd be on top of it. You know, this has happened to me countless times where what I expect to unfold doesn't unfold because the divine has something else in store. And I say, you know what? Thank you, God, in me, for being my abundance, my prosperity, and my wealth. You are my unlimited source and supply. And I affirm that for as long as I need to. And all of a sudden, there's a peace that comes over me. And either a circumstance will unfold, I'll get a thought to do something, or something. Because what you have to know is that the God in you is always on top of everything, always like 1,000 steps ahead. Like, use that power within you, use that ability, use that grace to your advantage. But more importantly, not only use it when problems come, use it as a preemptive measure. Like, you know, go into your day knowing that the God in you is your source. Go into your day knowing that the God in you is your currency. Because I tell you what, when people fail you, it's the God in you that's going to pick up the slack, and the grace is going to swoop in like a superhero and ensure that everything is on point in the way that it should be, and that you're taken care of, and that your needs are met. Okay? And so we were talking a little bit about, you know, short term, and I got off track a bit, but I want to touch on long term, what this means when you make the God in you your currency. And so this is something that's really cool, because nobody ever really talks about this until somebody files bankruptcy or goes broke. And, you know, what it comes down to is your wealth is not your money. And when I say money, I mean your physical money, not the spiritual money. I did an episode giving you the three different aspects of money, and it's on this show, the Money Cure. I'm not really sure what the title of it is, but it's basically the three aspects of money to help you kind of understand how money works and how you can basically maximize it in your life. But from a long-term standpoint, when you make the God in you your currency, when you come up against stuff where, you lose a lot of money or somebody scams you, or hopefully this doesn't be the case, or you make a bad investment, understanding that money is only God in action, is only love in action, you know that it's not really lost, right? I can remember working on this film, and I'm going to keep their name, disclosed. I don't know, is it undisclosed? I don't know, but I'm going to keep their name to myself. Anyway, I did this film. It was a great opportunity. Had a lot of fun. And this was a union film. And with most union films, as you know, if you're in the industry of acting, they will give you residuals for, having a principal role, sometimes with even being an extra. Sometimes if you're a SAG extra, they'll give you a residual, which is basically a percentage of what the movie makes on top of what you were paid to perform in it. And so 1 year passes, 2 year passes, 3 years pass, 4 or 5, almost up to like a decade. And no residuals have come from this film. But in my heart of hearts, now I know, because the God in me is my currency, I understand that money that is owed to me is not lost. It's not something that I will never see again. It's something that I'm only preparing to receive it at the perfect divine time. And I'm open, I'm receptive. But the truth of the matter is, I know in my heart that it's coming to me. Now, this is sort of different than making $200,000 a year from your company and then losing your job. No, I get that. Similar, different to a degree, but still similar, because we're also getting back to the understanding that your currency is not your account. Your currency is not the dollars in your wallet or the euros or whatever it is, wherever you are. It's not those things. True wealth, true prosperity is that energy and that consciousness within you. And keep in mind, as long as you have that, and you're going to have that as long as you're alive, and you can tap into it, you can choose to tap into that, or you can choose to tap into the poverty consciousness. But when you tap into that wealth and prosperity consciousness, that God consciousness, be assured 1,000% that money is going to come back. It may not come back from the same avenue, but it will come back through another channel. And it will be that or something greater. That's what's so amazing about the divine, is it's always this or something greater. So you can rest assured knowing wherever you are in life today, whether you're not, you don't have a job, you're looking for a job, they cut your salary, you are struggling, tap into the God in you. Start affirming. Thank you, God in me, for being my source of being my income, my unlimited source and supply. Thank you, God in me, for being my wealth and prosperity, my unlimited source and supply under grace in perfect ways. Start affirming that, because when you affirm that, and it helps to write it down, you begin to put yourself into a position to where you are acknowledging God as your source. And I'm telling you, man, I'm telling you, when you do this, you don't have to worry about anything in life anymore. You don't have to worry about things not working out. You don't have to get discouraged when people tell you they're going to pay you at one point and then they don't. You don't have to get upset about all these things and different types of energies that can manipulate, the expectation or outcome. You don't have to worry about it, because you know that the divine, the AKA God in you, always has your back and will always come through. And this is a lesson to not only learn for yourself, but teach to your kids, teach to your friends, because you can never go wrong and you can never fail when this unfolds. Guys, trust me, make the God in you your currency. And I promise you, when you do, sky's not even the limit. You're going even further. We're talking on a multiverse level. You're opening yourself up to allow things to come into your life that are going to continually help you to be the very best that you can be, but more importantly, live the very best life that you choose to live. Thank you so much for joining me. Signing off from The Money Cure, I'm Sean Grant. We will talk to you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.